Hello. So I have finally kind of finished up this tier list here. I had a lot of trouble with this one. I had to remake it about like twice, and I've settled on this kind of tiering. And the reasoning behind this tiering is because it is very hard to slap something in the low tier when you know they support a specific synergy strat. Which is why I had to separate them into their specific strats here, and then there are some generic ones like healing and stuff, which I just kind of put them in generic good or generic bad or just other stuff. But essentially, my logic here is that if you are going for bleed, then you probably won't dip into other strats, which is why all of those items just straight up become a garbage tier for you. You will never take those because you're going for a specific strat. Maybe you can dip into some of the others, but you probably won't. You'll probably dip into like A, S, B, or C at that point, or any of these top trees over here, because these are all some of the best speedrun stuff as well as consistent stuff, and just help you in general to clear the content. Which is why I think that if you're going for thematic stuff, I just slap them into their own teams so that you can just pick them up if you are going for this. Yeah, and if you are just straight up not going for any teams here, then you just ignore them if you want. You can just dip a few of them if you want, but then the rest of them can just take everything else outside of this thematic stuff here. So yep, so like we got Charge, Rupture, Tremor, Bleed, Sinking, Burn, and Poise as the 7 teams that we have. Yep. So let's start with Poise. Why is Poise so low? Is because Poise still suffers the problem that the units themselves don't do enough damage to justify bringing your Poise characters. And there's only 2 items in the game that I think help to boost their power level a little bit so that they are actually viable. The problem is that they are quite high level, which is why they are at the bottom. So let's start with Poise. Let's start with the big boy over here. The big boy here is Clear Mirror Calm Water. Greatly increases the damage of crits that you land, and if a crit consumes Poise count, you also gain 2 base power up. Pretty simple, right? It's Infinity Edge from League of Legends or Daedalus from Dota. It's something that buffs your crit damage so that you can do more damage. Very simple. And then it has the additional bonus of giving you more base power if you consume Poise count, which is basically a crit. So it's just buffing your crits. And the reason here this is so good is because Poise crits are not a lot. It's like 25%, if I remember correctly, it's like 25% increase of damage. It's really not a lot when you consider that your characters that do the Poise have very low power in the first place. So they crit, but if you get a multiplier on a small number, it's not really a lot. You need a multiplier on a big number, which is why the only good characters that are related to Poise are those that will do a lot of damage and have Poise as a bonus. Then it becomes good. For example, Elcop Faust, she has Opportunistic Strike. So if she crits on that one, it's a huge damage increase. We have She Ishmael, who gains a crap ton of Poise, and then she has a 4-coin move when she's 50% HP, so she can do a lot of crits, which help to bump up her damage output, and she just keeps pumping out crit, so you have no problems with maintaining the crit. The problem with a lot of the other characters is they have a lot of problems stacking and maintaining their crit at a high level. So, which is why for those characters, right, if you are going to bring them into the dungeon, you also need another ego gift that helps them to maintain their crit count, their Poise count. Yeah. So you need this to help to buff the damage of your crits, but you also need another ego gift to help those people who cannot maintain their crit count. You just need something to help them maintain. And let's start with, I believe, the best... Oh wait, sorry, I haven't talked about the other damage booster. Cigarette Holder. At the start of the turn, allies with Poise gain +1 final power. Allies with 5+ Poise count gain +2 final power. Yep, so that is quite a damage increase. I would say that this one is a major one, because you see, you need to have 5 plus poise count, and once again, unless you are Ishmael at 50% or you are Faust with maybe 2 actions, you're gonna have trouble getting to this number, which is why we need a lot of support from the other ego gifts to get it. And the problem is that poise, the units are just so they're so problematic. They can't get a lot of crit, a lot of poise count, and they also don't have the numbers to support it, so it's really kind of rough, really. It's really very rough for them. Okay, let's start with the best one, Nebulizer. At the start of the battle, all allies gain 4 poise and plus 4 poise count. Straight up solves your problem off the bat by giving you crit and then the count. And then when you activate, you fight Absolute Resonance, which is very easy if you use all the blade lineages, because all of them have 1 Pride skill at least. I believe Yisang's on skill 1, Otis is on skill 2, and then you have the skill 3 of Blade Lineage, Sinclair, and then Henchwoman also has 1, if I remember correct. Yeah, so you will be able to get this Pride Absolute Resonance a lot, and all allies will gain 2 poise and plus 2 poise count whenever you activate this. So I think that this Nebulizer here is pretty much core if you're going to try for poise, because it helps you to just give you so much poise count and so much poise, you should be able to keep playing the poise game, yeah. Okay, then next one we got the rocks. So the rocks are, I can't remember, is it marble? No, stone tomb. Okay, so stone tomb is pretty okay. Allies gain 1.5 times poise from skill, so it gives you more poise potency. And when you defeat an enemy with a sloth skill, you gain 2 poise and plus 2 poise count. Sounds weird because not the Blade Lineage, I'm pretty sure like maybe only one of them has a sloth skill, or even none of them, because I don't remember them getting sloth. So this part is a bit sussy. But then again, Yisang can use an ego, right, to trigger this, so it's not super bad either. Yeah, you can use your egos that have sloth, and I can think of Yisang as one of those with a sloth ego that they can trigger for this. They can also use their Sun Shower Yisang ego, yeah. Because there's also a sloth skill, they can gain the effect here as well, but unfortunately it's only once per turn, so you can't get a shit ton of stuff on that. But critting on the Sun Shower ego is pretty damn good, so I will say that that is a pretty nice combo indeed. Next one is the Lucky Charm, the 4-leaf Clover. When an ally with poise lands a crit hit on an enemy, you gain 5 poise and plus 2 poise count next turn. It's only once per turn and it's not once per ally. There's a specific wording for once per ally also, I think. Unless this is wrong, then I'm not sure then. If the skill's affinity was Gluttony, you gain this amount instead, but most of them don't have Gluttony, so this is the only one I look at. Plus 2 poise count and 5 poise. It's not bad, pretty okay. I mean, I don't know about this cost being so high though. Yeah. It just, so the requirement here is that you must crit, and then you gain this amount next turn, but it only happens once per turn. So I'm not sure if it's once per ally or once per turn, literally, then it's actually not worth the cost. But at the same time, it does give you quite a big boost, so if you're running poise, you probably just take it anyway. Then after that, we got Endorphin Pen. I can't believe I remember these names. I've played this game too much. Endorphin Kit. When gaining poise using skills, gain 1 poise and plus 1 poise count. Now this one is actually really good. Actually, it should be like this if I think this is how it works. Yeah, Endorphin Kit is cheaper than the Clover, and also it's every time you use a skill that gives you poise, which is a lot most of the time. And you just get the poise count, which helps you to maintain, and you also gain 1 poise. You can ignore the envy part. I don't think they have a lot of envy skills either. But yeah, this is really, really good to just help maintain that poise count. And then last one is the Pendant. Pendant was up here, right? Yeah, Pendant of Nostalgia. This one's not that great, but it's fine. At the start of the combat phase, random ally gains 3 poise, prioritizes allies with gloom skills, so it will probably be Henchwoman if you brought her along. And those allies gain 3 poise and plus 2 poise count, so yeah, it's just additional poise maintenance, poise potency. So honestly, these 3 here would be the main ones you want, and these 2 here would be the other 2, and then these 2 here is something that you just pick up if you see them. But at the same time, if you want to dump them, I think it's totally fine to dump them, because honestly they might not be worth it. But if you want to go for full poise, then feel free to get them. Yeah, I just lumped them in here. So ultimately, poise still suffers from the lack of damage, So they need to get these two to buff the damage, and for those characters that have trouble maintaining their poise counts, they will need to get these 3 items over here to help maintain those poise counts. I think this one is actually just potency, right? Yeah, it's just increase your crit chance. So ultimately you just need all these 3. This one gives you more crits, these 2 give you more count. Yeah. Okay, so that's all about Poise. In my opinion, I think Poise is still pretty bad, but if you want to just run it down, you can try. It's not that fun. It's alright. I think going the other strats here is a little bit more interesting. Anyway, let's talk about the C tier. I only put 4 in here because there's not really a lot of ego gears that I look at and I'm like, I'm probably not getting this. Or I'd rather get something else. Only these 4 mainly, because the rest of them kind of belong into one of the archetypes, so can't really throw them in here. Alright, let's start with the goo. The goo is something jelly, right? Sticky Muck. After dealing damage using a Gluttony or Pierce skill, you inflict 1 defense level down. Really not that great. 1 defense level down is what? 3% damage. I will say that if you do run multi-hits and a lot of piercers, this actually is not too terrible to run in your team. You can run something like what? Rabbit, W Dawn, and you can do quite a lot of piercing and inflict quite a lot of defense level down on the target. That is not too bad indeed. Yep, because it is every time you deal damage, so it should be every coin, if I remember correctly. Yep. Yeah, so it's not too bad, it's just that whenever I see it, I'm just like, I wish I got something more snowbally. Because you see the list of stuff up here, right? There's like so many things I would rather have rather than this. So seeing this is really on the low side of things. It's not too terrible, but it's also not something I really want to get. Then next one is this. So this one, I'm a bit suspect. So the thing I'm worried about here is that because offense level, right? The enemies are being buffed in MD2 Hard. I don't know if it's preemptive to go and judge this as a low value, because offense level helps you to clash, and since the enemies are about to become way stronger in clashing, we may need offense level to kind of offset that. But at the same time, maybe I can just ego spam and kill them all, so I don't know yet if offense level is going to be high value. But this ego here is basically, so if you're running a bunch of priders or a bunch of single coiners, it doesn't have to be a bunch of single coiners, it can just be a bunch of 2-stars with 1 single coin move on their skill 1, and you will pretty much get some value out of this. It gains 1 offense level up and 1 defense level up. That's it. I don't know how to value offense level up now because of the changes to the enemies coming soon. I just generally, if I want to follow the old ways, right, then I would say this is actually garbage. Then I would not care about this too much. Instead of offense level up, why not get attack power up? That increases my final damage. Why not just stagger them? Why not just ego them if I can't win the clash, right? You're going by that logic. But if I wanted to just win rate things, it's perhaps possible that I would need some offense level so that I can win rate my way through the MD2 dungeon. I don't know. It probably won't be win rateable, right? In that case, then this ego is probably something I don't want to be taking. Yep. So honestly, 1 offense level up and 1 defense level up is not something I'd rather pay for. If I get it for free, then, well, shit man, that sucks. I'd rather get something else. That's my thought. Anyway, next one is Voodoo Doll. Voodoo Doll is like a bit lackluster. At the start of the turn, you deal 3 fixed damage to all enemies. So if you're fighting a group battle against 7, that is 21 damage, right? Enemies with 33% or less HP are inflicted with 1 attack power down. Okay, cool. But that's it. Like, it doesn't significantly help my plans to Unga Bunga. It doesn't significantly help my plans to go for a specific synergy thing. I'd rather go and get those things rather than get this. Like, I'm not saying this is super bad, but 3 damage to all enemies. If I fight a boss, right, this is only 3 damage. It's like, I feel so bad. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this Voodoo Doll. It's not terrible, but it's also not something I kind of want to get at all. Yeah, I'd rather get everything else up here rather than this. So it was here. Next is the gun. It's called Broken Gun, right? Was it Broken Barrel? Let's see. Broken... where are you? Broken Revolver. At the start of the turn, enemies with Rupture have their offense level reduced by 3 for the turn. So same logic, I don't know how to value this. Because honestly, if you just need to get 1 Rupture on the target, then it's pretty easy to get this. Actually no, it's start of turn. You might consume your own Rupture. Sussy. Do I put this under Rupture? That is the question. I think you do put it under Rupture. Because it requires you to have Rupture at the end of the turn. Sorry, at the start of the next turn. So you would probably need to use that in the Rupture team. But honestly, 3 offense level, I don't give a shit. Yeah, I'll just ego him down or just kill him. I don't know. Offense level is such a tricky one now because they are increasing the offense levels of the enemies. So you might want a few just to make your clashing life a little bit easier. Can save some ego resources, but at the same time, if you just take one of the ego resource gen stuff, you are pretty much good to go on the spam. Oh well, so I guess we end up with 3 at the bottom. These 3, I see them, I'm like, I wish I got something better. Right, let's go to the B tier. This bloody tier. Where are you, bloody tier? Bloody Gadget. At the start of the turn, apply 2 damage up to a random ally, prioritize allies with lust, and then you apply 1 damage up if the ally has lust. So, not too bad. I wouldn't pay for this because I'd rather save up for other things like characters, upgrading the skills, blah blah blah. There's a lot of things to consider here, but if I get it for free, I'm not too happy, not too sad about it. It's a free damage up, and damage up is good. So yeah, it's as simple as that really. Okay, and then the next one is the lower star. After dealing blunt, deal 5 SP damage to the target. If the skill's affinity was Pride, it deal an additional 3. So why do I rate this here is because if I'm running the correct team, which is probably going to be Ninclair, I think Ninclair is going to be the best hyper carry for this MD2 Hard. I think that this is going to be very good because getting to that panic state is extremely good value, and getting to it faster with this is extremely good value because it's after dealing blunt. So every hit you do, you deal 5 SP damage. So if Ninclair does it, he can do up to 20 SP damage or 15 SP damage or 10 SP damage. So it's really good application of this. And if you want to run Liu Ishmael, the Liu gang, you apply even more. You panic the entire enemy team because you just clash all of them. So it's really quite good actually. You can even do AoE blunts like Rim Shank, Fluid Sac, and you can do AoE SP damage. Yeah, it's not that bad because now, right, with the sanity changes, getting to panic state gives you a damage window sometimes, makes the enemy hit each other sometimes, and makes the enemy get fragility sometimes. There's like a lot of statuses now in panic, right? So that's why lower star has suddenly jumped back up to a pretty high level, and it's actually a good combo with one of the egos I'll show you later. Next one is Pride and Prejudice, I believe. Okay, it's called Prejudice. At the start of the turn, the ally of the least HP heals 15% max HP. When you activate Absolute Res, ally of the least HP heals 10% of missing HP at the start of combat phase. This ego gift is not that great. The reason being is because there are better healing ego gifts. Simple as that. This only activates on the 3rd turn and only activates on your Pride Absolute Resonance. So it is not that consistent compared to other healing items, and most likely in a run you only need 1 healing item just to make sure your units don't get chipped to death. If you really are getting just like absolutely destroyed by the dungeon, then it's not because of healing already, it's because you're not clashing properly, you're not using your egos to win those clashes. So I don't think this ego gift is good at all. It doesn't really help your damage, and it's not a good maintainer of your health. Next one is the Orb. Orb is it's like future seeing orb, is it? No, tomorrow's fortune. Increase the number of options by 1 when choosing an ego gift to get. This one has risen in value, that's for sure, but I still wouldn't pay for it. The thing is, right, when you complete a node now, so it can be a battle node, focus node, or elite node, you get an additional option when you get the ego gift drop. If I get this Tomorrow's Fortune for free, I don't mind, because then it gives me an additional option to choose from so I can make my run more consistent. But at the same time, if I have to pay for it, I'm sacrificing I'm sacrificing ego, recruitment, skill upgrade from skill 1 to skill 3, for example, and other ego gifts as well. So I don't think it is worth the cost to get an additional option. Yeah, that is my opinion on this. If it gave me an additional like ego gift as well as option, then I would consider this. But it only increases your options, so it makes the run more consistent, but at the same time it costs 137, so I rather save that money for other things. Yep. So next one is Painkillers. Painkillers also kind of the same problem as the Prejudice, where I don't need a heal when I'm about to die. If I get to the dying state, it's because I messed up already. At the start of the turn, staggered allies heal by 12.5% of max HP and gain 3 protection. So if I get my ally staggered, it's because I screwed up. Alright, I don't need a healing item that only triggers when I screw up. I need a healing item that triggers to make sure that my units don't get to the stagger threshold, or they don't or they just don't like die. Like, this is not the best healing item. There's like 3 better healing items. In fact, First Aid Kit is right here. At the start of the turn, one ally under 50% heals 25% max HP. Even this, I would say, is better. If I get this for free though, the Painkiller, I don't mind. Because Painkiller is extremely expensive. 183, not great. But I will admit that there are very, very few times where this protection and healing when I'm staggered is significant. It's just that when you're playing the game properly, you don't want to get staggered. So this really doesn't trigger that often. Really not worth the price. If you get it for free, so be it. Next one, Faith. Okay, so Faith is a tier 4 item, I believe. So it's a very high level item. Why did I put it so low? When using a skill that flips plus coins, the ally's SP applies as the maximum value at the start of the next turn, unless corroded. So my understanding of this ego gift is that when you flip the plus coin, your SP value, you get it at the start of the next turn. So what that means is that the next turn, you will roll your coin at the 95% chance to roll hits. That's essentially what's going on, I think. So if I did not misunderstand this wording, it means that I just roll my coins at 45 SP every turn. That is what I'm understanding here. So by that logic, right, I'm pretty sure my characters will always be at 45 SP no matter what. Because I'm going to win my clashes, I'm going to kill, I'm going to play properly. And if I ever drop to a certain level, you can pop an ego, just heal yourself up. I think the only situation where this is going to be very, very good is when you do ego spam. Because when you ego spam, you sacrifice some SP, so you do not get the 95% chance to roll hits. So this Faith might be good when you do ego stuff. Yeah. So besides that, right, I don't think I would ever pay this price to make sure that I roll at the 95% chance to roll hits. I think I will just let it rip no matter what. This is a huge amount of money for this effect. So I don't think it's worth it. If I understood this wrong, please let me know. Because the way I understand it, right, is that it only is good for egos. Because when you use an ego, you consume SP, so you're not rolling at the highest chance to roll hits. That's my understanding. So if I got this wrong, then please let me know. But with my current interpretation, I think Faith is not worth it. Unless you get it for free, then sure, why not? Okay, we got through first 3. Let's talk about Charge. Charge is certainly something, alright? So with the release of Rhino Assault, we now have a character that wants to stack Charge. And which is why I was looking at Charge type glove and I was thinking to myself, this is now pretty damn good, isn't it? Because your max charge count gets plus 10. And if you were to just take all of the other charge items, then you just keep stacking up to 30 charge, and now you have Mr. Sonic the Assault. And if you just go crazy, applies a shit ton of bleed, applies a shit ton of final power, and just does crazy shenanigans because of his additional charge. So I was looking at this and that's something I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try for a speedy Rhino Assault here. Really, really interesting. The good thing about having the max charge count plus 10 is that you can also pop your Teleport, Dawn, or whatever other charge count moves you want, and you can go past your cap of 20. So you can go up to 30 if you wanted to, and then you could do Rip Space 3 times in a row, for example. So W Dawn giving her more actions lets her Rip Space twice in the same turn. Like, imagine that shit. Kind of insane. So I kind of like this a lot, especially since it also gives you that +5 charge count at the start. And if you accumulated enough energy for your Teleport or your, I don't know, AEDD Gregor, then you could also just start stacking your charge really, really fast. I think the only major problem is that a lot of the other charge 2 stars are not like really very good. We got what, W Faust, and I can't even remember another one besides W Faust. But W Faust comes to mind, and I just don't think she's going to get she's not going to be very, very useful in my opinion. But if you use her with the Faust Ego and you have 30 charge count, that Faust Ego does give her more damage the more charge she has. I don't know. It sounds fun, but it doesn't sound very good. Anyway, this one looks interesting for Sonic the Hedgehog. I thought it was really fun, so I just set it on the left. As for whether it's super good or not, actually, probably not that great. I think things that just give you enough charge so you can hit +10 charge at the start of your turn, I think that's already very good. Because, for example, if you W Dawn and you straight up have this Ego Gift and this Ego Gift, if you don't know what this is, I'll explain later. Basically, at the start of your turn, right, you have 10 charge. So you can Rip Space on turn 1, you can Mind Whip on turn 1, you can whatever Rhino on turn 1. So yeah, it's really interesting because once you get a specific setup for charge, you can actually turn 1 Rip Space, which I find very, very cool. Alright, anyway, next one, let's go to Battery. Battery Socket. At the start of the turn, 2 random allies gain +2 charge count, and when you activate Sloth Absolute Resonance, 1 ally gains +3 charge count at the start of the combat phase. So that one's probably not gonna happen with the W Corp gang. I'm not sure what team required to get this Sloth Absolute Res, but the fact that you do get this +2 charge count at the start helps you to speed up your turn 1 Rip Space, because you get additional +2 on 2 of your allies. Although it's a bit random, so it's gonna be a bit RNG here. Besides Purple Socket, I think the next best one is... Sorry, I think Portable goes down by a tier here, so my bad. It's because I value Lightning Rod a lot higher. At the start of the battle, all allies gain +3 charge count. If 2 or more allies participating in the Battle of Envy, you all get +5 instead. Which is why I was saying that these 2, if you combo them, you get 5, 5, 10. If you add this, you get 12. I mean, it's not really 12, it's 12 on 2 characters and then 10 on everyone else. Yeah. So this 2 here is the main combo you're looking for when you go for charge, because then you can turn 1 do crazy shit. Very, very nice. I like this combo a lot. The next one is Wrist Guards. At the start of the turn, allies with 5+ charge count gain 1 damage up. Remember what I said about the combo where you start with 10 charge? Boom! At the start of the turn, allies with 5 charge count gain 1 damage up, and if you have a Pride skill, you gain 2 damage up instead. That one I'm not too sure, but the 1 damage up because of 1 damage up at the start of your turn, by the way. Like turn 1, gaining the damage up, really cool. That's just gonna make you Rip Space even harder on turn 1. Kind of insane how much Nova you can do. Okay, next is Curriculum Vitae. Allies with 7+ charge count gain 1 haste next turn. If you have Gloom, you gain 2 haste final power. So even more support for... Okay, this is even more buffs for having high charge count. Which is why I really put the ones that give you charge count high. Because if you get there, then all of these will trigger. So the next one is this Nightvision Goggles. Here it is. 15+ charge count. At the start of the combat phase, ally loses 3 and gains 5 offense level for the turn. This one, I don't know if it's worth it, because I don't know how to value this. But because it's 5, right? 5 equals to 1 increase in your clash power, so you win your clashes easier. I think it also contributes quite a bit to your damage here. So I think that this is pretty damn good. You need to get 15 plus charge count, by the way, so even with the whole setup, you are not going to get this that easily. You have to wait until like the next turn maybe, and you'll be able to get it. So it's not that great. It's on the lower side for a reason. The last one is this employee card, which actually should be above this. Should be above quite a lot of them actually. Because this one, if you activate any allies, use a skill whose effect gives charge count. Right? So that's Reindeer skill 1, W-Dawn skill 1, the Mersault skill 1, whatever, man. All allies gain plus 3 charge count at the start of the next turn. All allies. This is a big one also. This one also helps you to give your allies more charge count. So all these 4 here at the top, I put them there because they give charge count. And then all these 3 here are just buffs, with the Night Goggles being the sort of weakest buff in a way. Because you get the 5 offense level, it gives you quite a small bump in the damage, and then you also get +1 clashing power, so it's pretty alright. But the rest, these 2 buffs here are pretty alright. Basically, the whole theme of charge here is to start the turn with your charge ready, and then you explode all of your big skills, and after that you just slowly regain your charge using this battery socket and your regular stuff. Yep, so I am quite a fan of this playstyle. Basically, on your turn 1, you kill 2 people. That's essentially what's going on. You either kill or stagger 2 people off the bat. So it is a very strong burst damage if you can get this setup here. Besides that, then you just go for even more damage, some healing sustain, maybe duplicate some attacks or apply Rupture or whatever. Lots of stuff here you can go for, and then you're pretty much good to go with the charge team. I think the charge team is quite fun. Alright. Let's talk about Rupture. Rupture is... Rupture is something, alright. Okay, so I want to have a special mention to this guy over here, the battery box. So let's go to the battery box up here. So battery box, right? Standard duty battery is so powerful that I kicked it out of Rupture and threw it into S tier. And the reason being is that you can just take this on literally any team. When dealing damage using skills, inflict 3 Rupture. If the skill's affinity was MV, inflict an additional 2 Rupture. So, dealing damage using skills, I'm pretty sure this means, right, every time you hit an enemy, you apply the Rupture. So if you do something like Quick Suppression, you're applying 3, 6, 9, 15 in total. So that's additional damage, and it's free. And it's an MV skill, so take note that it's also going to apply this additional 2 Rupture. So yeah, it's a bit not okay when you combo it with the right moves. When you have a lot of coins, this standard duty battery does a shit ton of damage. And it doesn't even need to be in the Rupture gang. You can just put it on any character with a lot of coins, and you're pretty much good to go, man. Because this thing just increases your damage for free. The number of coins you have, the more damage you deal. That's just what this is saying, essentially. So, even though this belongs in Rupture, it actually belongs here. Because it is such a huge damage increase for most teams. Actually, no, for every team. That you just slap him here anyway. Yeah, so just take note that he's up here. And then now we talk about the rest of the guys that kind of belong in the Rupture. Alright, let's talk about Trill. Trill is from that flower in Ruina. I don't remember his name again, even though someone told me his name. But it's a flower that gives you Trill, and then eventually your head bursts because you have too much pleasure or something like that. At the start of the turn, inflict 3 Rupture and plus 3 Rupture count on all enemies. So starting off really good, right? And notice the price, so it's a tier 4 item. At the end of the turn, all allies with 3 plus Rupture count take fixed damage by Rupture times Rupture count, and then you reduce by 2. So no matter what, you are still getting a +1 Rupture count. And even then, even if you don't let it pop, right, it's totally fine. You can just, do your own Rupture thing. You just start smacking it, consume the Rupture. In fact, this is actually quite generic, that if you are playing other strats, you can even just take this. Because what happens is that this is 3, 6, 9 extra damage. As long as you hit them. You don't even need to add more Rupture if you wanted to. If you do add, then sure, that's fine. If you don't want to add, it's fine. It's just extra 9 damage. And then you don't even need to let this ending part trigger. You just consume all the Rupture count. Then next turn, it will just apply more Rupture for you again. It's free damage. So it's just straight up good no matter what. Following that, we have the Barbs. Where are they? Barbed Snare. At the start of the turn, you inflict Rupture on all enemies equal to their speed values. But if you can activate Lust Absolute Resonance, you inflict 3 Rupture and 3 Rupture count on a random enemy. So I was looking at this and I was like, wow, that's a lot of Rupture count actually. But I couldn't think of a team comp that had this Lust amount unless it was the NCOP gang. Yeah. Because getting this Absolute Resonance is a bit tricky when our current Rupture gang is the 7 Otis, G Gregor, and Yisang and Honglu, I guess. We don't really have Rupture, you know. Yeah, we don't really have Rupture yet. I guess we have K-Corp. We have K-Corp Honglu now. Yeah, I don't know how I can activate this with a Rupture team. Maybe I bring a few side characters that also like do Lust just to activate this part. But the fact that you also at the start of the turn inflict Rupture on all enemies, combined with Trill, you can get quite a bit of extra damage on targets. So it's really not that bad. Really quite good. And then we talk about Thunderbranch. Thunderbranch is very good as well because it increases count by 1 whenever you inflict Rupture. So if your move applies Rupture and Rupture count, then you add 1 to both. So it is +1ing. So 7 Section Otis, for example, she applies +1 Rupture count, right? So what you can do with her is that you can apply an additional count. So you add 1 to the count. And you consume 1, but you replace 1, right? So it's a +1 in net +1. And then you also inflict 1 additional Rupture, so you have to stack. So Thunderbranch is quite good as well, as long as you can maintain the count. Besides that, the rest, boy, these guys. Okay, so these guys are not my favorites. Because they don't apply count, and I'm all about maintain that count so that I can stack more Rupture. Which is why I like Trill and Barbed Snare the most, because they apply the count so that you can stack up the Rupture so that you can do the damage. Where is this one? What's it called again? A Talisman Bundle, right? A Talisman Bundle. Talisman Bundle. There it is. After dealing 12 plus HP damage with a single skill, you inflict 2 Rupture on the target. If the skill dealt slash damage, you inflict 4 Rupture instead. So, as you can see, it has no count at all. So, this is not too terrible, I will admit. Because you need to deal 12 plus HP damage with a single skill. Most of the skills, if you do the right damage type, you will easily get this number, so you can get quite a bit of value. It's just that the damage is not that great, so you need to have the counts first. So you need the 3 that I just stated beforehand, or you need someone to apply a lot of count beforehand. So Dimension Cutter Egos would come in very, very handy here. Okay, then the next one is the Bar. It's a Crown of Roses, right? Crown of Roses. At the start of the turn, inflict 4 Rupture on a random enemy. When activating Gluttony Absolute Rest, you inflict 2 Rupture on all. It's, like I said, it's also just extra Rupture count. Sorry, not even Rupture count, it's just Rupture potency. Yeah, I don't really give a shit. And then the last one is the Gun. The Gun is basically saying if you have Rupture applied on them, their offense levels are all decreased. So, I mean, if you have these two, you might as well pick this up, right? That's why that's why I couldn't throw it in C, because it has a use in the Rupture team. Like, oh, I want to win my clashes, so I take this combo here, or I take one of them, and then they have Rupture, and then I have this thing, and then at the start of the turn, they all have offense level down 3, so it's still okay. It's just, it doesn't really help you speed run. It's just very thematic, very fun. Yeah, so overall, I would say Rupture's main ones are absolutely this battery and then these 3 here, because these 3 here help to provide count, and that is the big problem with Rupture, in that they cannot stack enough count to stack their Rupture levels to some crazy amounts. Yeah, for example, I think maybe if you were to do like Dimension Cutter Honglu on one target, then you'll be able to stack about maybe 8 Rupture count, if you have these 2 as well. And then with that in mind, you just need to have a Thunderbranch or something to maintain the count so that you can start stacking, basically. But honestly, with about 8 Rupture count, I think you can stack to 20 by the end of it, which is a problem. Yeah, you can't really stack it at the start. You have to stack it at the end. Actually, no, with this one, you could probably get it around the halfway point because this adds more Rupture potency as well. It's tricky, it's tricky. Rupture is such a... I don't know about Rupture, man. I feel like Rupture is still missing some pieces to make it an actual, like good DPS thing. But this combo here and followed by this battery and Thunderbranch is probably like the best things I could find here. So that is all for the Rupture. Let's talk about Tremor. Tremor was interesting. So the problem with Tremor is that once you stagger someone, he doesn't get another stagger bar. What I mean by that is, let's say the enemy has 70% and 30% stagger bar. If you hit the 7%, he's staggered, right? But you don't get another stagger bar regenerated, like to any other place. So he staggered, you bursted, okay, congrats, you staggered him. Now you stagger him again, okay, congratulations. Alright, now there's no more stagger bars. So what does your Tremor burst do? I'm pretty sure it doesn't do jack shit. It just kind of bursts, but nothing happens because there's no stagger bar to be pushed. So on enemies that are particularly thick and you cannot kill them, this is a bit of a problem where you cannot actually burst them anymore because if you burst them, nothing happens. You can just burst if you want to, but you get nothing out of it. So I don't know. Yeah. So let's talk about the best Tremor ego gift first. So based on what I just said, right? Tremor has become something where you hit the burst, you get the stagger, now you kill him before he even has a chance to, recover. Because if he recovers, you're not going to stagger him again. So that's the whole idea for Tremor. And that's, yeah. So judging from that, right, we are going for a rush to burst them and then stagger them and then just try and kill them as fast as we can with the additional weakness to our weapon types. So, Downpour. At the start of the turn, you inflict your current turn times 2 as Tremor potency and then plus 2 Tremor count on all enemies, and at the end of your turn, you burst Tremor on all enemies. This ego gift is so powerful that it can basically be the only Tremor count you need for the entire game. That is why it is a tier 4 and it costs 255. So if you ever see Downpour and you're running Tremor, or you're just running Rose Spanner Rodion, you're done. That's it. You're good to go. You don't need to even burst with your Rose Spanner if you wanted to, because this ego gift bursts them for you. So if you just want to pick this up just so you can get the staggers faster, go ahead. No one's gonna stop you. This shit is a self-contained Tremor team. That is all I have to say. It's AoE, by the way. It's AoE. And for abnormalities, all parts. So yeah, kind of insane, this ego gift. It's kind of insane. Can be used generically as well. If you want, you can even throw it under A or S. But I slapped it here because it fits the Tremor team a little bit more than this guy over here. Because this guy is more like, oh, you have coins? Go nuts. This one is, oh, you don't care about Tremor or you care about Tremor? Yeah, go nuts. So I feel like this guy still belongs here in a way. But I can't be argued to slap him up here if I yeah. It just makes sense, Like either way, I think it's totally fine. Right, next one is the 1.00. I do not know his actual name. Nixie Divergence. At the start of the battle, inflict 4 Tremor with 4 count on all enemies. And when you deal damage with an NV skill, you inflict 2 Tremor on the target. So it is good. Why? Because it has this 4 Tremor and 4 count on all enemies. It means that you can start bursting on turn 1. It's a bit... So you notice that quite a few of the ego gifts have some sort of wording like this. At the start of battle, inflict 4 something with 4 something on all enemies, like Poise, for example. So, well, for Poise, it's for yourself, but in Nixie Divergence case, it's on all enemies. So there are quite a few that work like this, and these are all great because they help you to set up the potency beforehand. And when you set up the potency beforehand, you can start doing the things that you want to do, which is stacking. Stacking or bursting or whatever. So in this case, it is pretty damn good because you get the the count and some tremor. So you can start bursting, and you can start bursting for a significant amount because they added this 4 tremor here, and your skills will apply the rest of the tremor. Yep, so it's a good startup. Next is the drink. The drink, I think is below. No, there it is. Green Spirit. After you damage a non-staggered enemy by using Gluttony or inflicting Tremor, you randomly inflict a total of 4 Tremor on all enemies. So this is quite okay if you are running the Tremor gang, because all of your skills would apply Tremor. And you'll be able to spread out all of that Tremor, and then if you have that Downpour, you'll be able to just burst all of them anyway. So it's really nice to have this Green Spirit. Green Spirit is pretty up there for sure. Next one is that Melty Eyeball. Melty Eyeball is inflict 3 defense level down on enemies affected by burst. So once again, this has a kind of a place. It's the same as the gun, right? Where, oh, you have Rupture here, offense level down. Or Melty Eyeball is, oh, if you're getting bursted, okay, inflict 3 defense level down. Yeah, so I don't know about this one. It just kind of belongs here, so I would pick it up just for fun, but I don't know. Anyway, this one probably goes at the bottom because it's offense, defense level stuff. But then we got this Oscillating Bracelet. Where is it? There it is. Whenever an ally deals HP damage to enemies with a skill, inflict 1 Tremor on the target next turn. So this really helps you to stack up that Tremor for more bursting. But you probably don't need to stack your Tremor to ridiculous amounts. You just need to burst him until the stagger threshold and then you kill him. So yeah, in terms of power level here, this drink Downpour is literally the king. So if you ever see this, feel free to just take it, because it will just solo burst everything for you every turn, solo Tremor everything every turn for you. Yep, really strong ego gift. Then this one here is a good startup, and this one here is to help you to spread the Tremor around for even more bursting. But the thing is, right, you don't really need to stack that much to get to the stagger threshold, because you are also doing damage at the same time. So I would say for Tremor, right, it's better if you dip into something else. For Tremor, you only need maybe like 2 to 3 of these eco gifts, and then you're pretty much good to go. You can just like increase damage to stagger targets, for example. You can take do additional damage, you can duplicate your skill with single. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff here you can go for. So that is some thoughts on Tremor. I think going full Tremor doesn't really do anything, because there's nothing like, oh, if you Tremor when there's no more stagger thresholds left, you do more damage, for example. There's only the text, right, for Rose Banner Rodion, where it says if the target is staggered, you do more damage. But the thing is, if they can't be staggered anymore, then shit, man, what are you gonna do? This is only really applicable for, I would say, bosses or enemies that have really huge health bars. For example, what's the enemy called? The not slithering. The everything inside Inquisitor, something like that. That the sword arm guy, sword arm Inquisitor. In Railway 1, he had so much HP, right? You hit the stagger threshold, he has no more stagger threshold. If you don't kill him there and break his hand, then you are screwed, because you have to go through his stupid ass resistances. Which is why I think it's a bit troublesome that Tremor doesn't like start from 0 or something. Like, just create another stagger threshold at 0 and then let us build it back up or something. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, basically if the enemy is super thick, then you will encounter this problem. But if the enemies are just regular, right, then you probably just burst them anyway, no problems. Alright, let's go to Bleed. Bleed is probably my favorite, because Bleed has such bullshit ego gifts that you can do crazy shenanigans with it. Let's start with the first one, Bloody Gossypium. I still don't know how to get this one, but let me try and find it. Bloody Gossypium, there it is. Oh, Red Stain Gossypium. At the start of the battle, you inflict 1 bleed and 15 bleed down on all enemies, and for those it becomes all parts. At the start of the turn, enemies with bleed have offense level and defense level reduced by bleed divided by 3 for the turn, max of 30. I don't care about this part too much, but the fact that it's so much, right? It's actually super significant, because it's so much decrease in these 2 levels. And it's 15 bleed count. Start stacking, because the guy is going to explode once he starts doing any moves. 15 bleed count is basically, oh, you don't need to do your own bleed count anymore, I got you. So with 255, you have basically said to the enemy that I only need to apply potency on you for the rest of the game, and you die. It's just so freaking strong. Insane ego gift. And then we are followed by another insane ego gift. Let me try and find it. It's a barbed wire, right? No, smokes and wires. Allies inflict twice as much bleed with skills. Twice as much. Oh my god, dude. Can you imagine a cloud cutter and then you do this shit? Insane, man. Actually insane. At the end of the turn, enemies with bleed lose 2 speed. It's not over, you know. It doesn't end here. It goes more. At the end of the turn, enemies with bleed lose 2 speed next turn. Like, sure. Like, this text would have been enough, but now you give me this text for 124 cost only? Dude, hell yeah, dude. Like, this is the crux of bleed as well. Like, these two here are definitely big bleed fans right here. Like, if you see these two, just run bleed, go. Go, man. It's insane. Ah, so fun, dude, to get these two. So fun. Okay, next one. What was I talking about? I was talking about pen knife, I think. Rusting cutting knife, yeah. Whenever an ally inflicts bleed on a non-staggered with skill, you add bleed and +1 bleed count. And the reason why I like this a lot is because it applies bleed count. All you need to do is hit a non-staggered enemy. I think a major problem with this strat, right, is that you are going to stagger your enemy pretty damn fast. So your bleed will kind of not be used. But at the same time, if you stagger the enemy, then just Unga Bunga the guy also and apply more bleed, right? So I see not that much problems with this condition here. I feel like if you're just going to hit the guy anyway, you might as well apply the bleed so that he just bleeds himself out, he staggers himself, blah blah blah. I don't know. It's just so funny to watch enemies die when they hit you. Alright, next one, Wound Clerid. Wound Clerid. I think it's up here, yep. After dealing damage to enemies by using Wrath or Bleed effects, you inflict 3 bleed on the targets. This is literally every single hit. So if you use a 4-coiner like Cloud Cutter, you are applying an additional 12 bleed. 3 times 4. Yep, so this is just straight up more bleed. And when you see like all the other options, right, they add so much bleed count, then you want the potency, so you take Wound Clerid for sure. Yeah, super good. Okay, now we go to White Gossypium, which is a little bit sussy, but actually, if you think about it, right, if you sacrifice your stagger turn, right, that means the enemy gets to move, that means the enemy gets to bleed more. Now you see why you want White Gossypium. At the start of the turn, you unstagger enemies, you inflict bleed, and then you inflict bleed count. So if you're going for the bleed strat, taking this, right, lets the enemy hit you, which means that they can bleed to death. So the logic here is, you don't stagger them to kill them, you unstagger them so they bleed and die. So that is why White Gossypium is here. White Gossypium is generally something you take near the end of the finishing the bleed build. You don't want it too early. You take it too early and you don't have the bleed stuff, then you don't really have a lot of fun because you're just losing your stagger phase. So try not to take it too early. Try to take it when you already have some of your bleed setup done. Yep. So, but yeah, this one here just enables the rest of the bleed, right? So it also comes with risk in that it removes the stagger phase. So you need to take note of that. Don't just anyhow see White Gossypium here in play and you're like, oh, I want to take this. No. You take it only when you get the rest of the ego gifts that enable the strat to work. Otherwise, this is just kind of a troll pick. You're just making life harder for yourself. It could lose you the run. Okay, it could lose you the run. Yep. Alright, next one is the wolf from Ruiner. I don't remember his name. Little and To Be Naughty plushie. Deal plus 10% damage and minus 20% damage against enemies with bleed if you have a pride skill, Cloud Cutter. Deals 20% more damage and takes minus 30% damage against enemies with bleed. So this is just free damage as long as you have a pride skill and you apply bleed. And you even if you don't have that, you still get a small bonus. So like, yeah, it's just great. Just go and grab it whenever you're running bleed, because you're going to maintain that bleed for a long time, and this is just going to help you out for quite a bit. And then the last one is the nail. The nail is probably the weakest part of this, but it's also not that weak that I wouldn't like take it if I was going for the bleed team. So all you need to do here is deal damage using a single coin skill, so eventually you will have to use a Hong Lu skill 1 unless you convert all of his skill 1s to Cloud Cutter somehow, you crazy magical man. If you do that, then damn dude, you just ran out of single coin skills, right? but actually you can just use an ego. All egos have single coins, so it's totally fine. Yeah, so you inflict 1 bleed, 1 defense level down. If the target already has bleed, inflict 3 bleed in addition. So that is 4 bleed potency, so it's a good stacker of the bleed. So this is also not even that bad, right? It's not even that bad. Because, okay, I would say that Wound Cleric is probably more consistent. But if you just run both of them, then you can just stack infinite amounts of bleed. So yeah, it just gets really, really fun when you get all of these ego gifts for bleed. Bleed is super, super fun. It's just so much fun. I recommend everyone just go and try one time. Just go and take a bleed team, try and get all of these ego gifts, and then you just see enemies kill themselves on you. They just die. Yeah, it's just damn. It's too fun. It's too fun. I love bleed. Like in my testing, right, the charge and bleed, and well, not really burn, because burn is honestly not that finished. I think bleed, charge, and tremor, but not really, because I just took this. I only took this first ego gift, are the best options, because they let you do crazy Nova burst on turn 1, infinite stacking of bleed, and tremor bursting every single turn for fun. Yeah, so these 3 were my favorites. I think Rupture doesn't fill me with joy. It's just pretty okay. But then again, I also haven't seen like a run that really bases itself around Rupture. So could be just I haven't played enough of Rupture. If you all have a good time playing with Rupture, then let me know, so I can also give it a try maybe. I probably have the units. Alright, let's move on to syncing. So for syncing, this one's a weird one because we kind of don't have enough of the source of syncing. I can only think of Sun Shower, Reindeer, and some egos that apply syncing or sanity damage directly. And because of that, I kind of ignored syncing, so I haven't done a real good test with it, but I did notice a few things that were really, really good with syncing. Let's start with the first one, the damage booster. So this is the tier, I think 3 to 4 ego gift. Deals 35% damage against enemies suffering from negative effects. SP related negative effects. So they need to have been panicked, shaken, or anything else from SP loss. And when you apply syncing effect to enemies without sanity, for example Amnos, the affinity of the damage now changes to whatever does 2 times more damage. So that is a very huge change, because usually your syncing just applies a gloom damage. But the fact that this one does the affinity change is pretty damn good. Makes your syncing a lot more effective against bosses now. So I really like this ego gift because it increases the damage and potency of your syncing. Sorry, not potency, but increases the power of your syncing. Yeah, you deal more damage. Right, next one is the Thorny Path. After dealing HP damage with a skill that inflicts syncing, inflict 3 syncking and +2 syncking count on the target at the end of the turn, and it's once per enemy per turn. Now the wording is specifically per enemy per turn, which means that on a bunch of enemies, you can inflict a bunch of syncking count. And when you activate Lust Absolute Resonance, you inflict 2 syncking and +3 syncking count on all enemies. But unfortunately for Hypnos, is 1 random part. So yeah, at the start of the combat phase. So basically you are applying a crap ton of syncking. Yep. You will need to get this Lust Absolute Resonance. And when I think about it, I'm pretty sure the Reindeer and Sun Shower both don't have Lust skills. So I still don't know what is the syncing team going to be. Because this ego gift here wants Lust Absolute Res. Like, where am I going to get that? Do I just run Encore or something? I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, I'm thinking to myself that this part here is already good enough to maintain some syncing amount and start hurting their sanity pretty significantly. So I think it's pretty good. The next one is the Bones. Don't know what their name is either. Where are the Bones? Okay. Skeletal Crumbs. So you deal more damage and take less against enemies that are syncing. If you have a Gloom skill, you deal more and take less damage instead. Yep, so this one is just the straight up that wolf plushie, but for sinking. Yeah, so it's just straight up good. Don't need to explain too much. Next one is the this one, Headless Portrait. At the start of the combat phase, inflict 2 sinking on enemies with less than 0, and in case of Amnos, uses a random part. For each NV skill used, you inflict 1 sinking between all enemies, and for Amnos is again the same thing. Yep. So this is just pretty nice to just apply a bunch of free sinking on the targets. So it's not too bad, has a pretty decent coverage. It is quite consistent as well, yeah. Because it happens every time the enemy has less than 0, which is pretty damn often if you are going for the sinking strat. And I think I forgot to mention, right, if you do have this and you use the blood skills of Reindeer, you are technically helping to speed up the sinking strat. So I could also toss this guy here, but I just left him here for now. Yeah, so as long as you can do SP damage, right, you can probably go into a sinking team. Alright, next one's the Fairy on the branch. Midwinter Nightmare. Whenever an ally deals HP damage to enemies with a skill, inflict 3 sinking on a target. If the skill's affinity was Gluttony, a weird one, that's for sure. I don't know why it's Gluttony. You inflict 5 sinking instead. Like, should it be Envy or Gloom or something? I don't know. Isn't Gloom like the main one for sinking? I don't know. But anyway, this one is basically whenever you hit someone, you inflict 3 sinking. So it's just helping you to get more sinking. It actually should be higher rated, I think, on my list. I think I should slap him like maybe here. Yeah, pretty decent, I think. Because it's actually maybe even higher. Because it's every hit you do. Whenever an ally deals HP damage to enemies with a skill, you inflict 3 sinking. So you are stacking a crap ton of sinking, you are going to hit his sanity super hard. So I think that this is going to be up here as well. So this one increases damage, this one is just a bunch of SP damage to the target. And then the next one is the Clockwork Gears. Clockwork, where are you, Clockwork? Melted Spring. At the start of the turn, enemies with sinking have their offense and defense level reduced by 3. So it's the same one as the others, where it's the same one as this gun and this eyeball. So probably toss you here for now. I really don't know. I think it's fine if you have sinking, sure. If you're running sinking, then sure. Yeah. Whenever an ally inflicts sinking on enemies with skills, the ally gains 1 offense level up. So same shit again, it's offense level up next turn. Allies with Wrath skills gain 2 offense level up instead. Oh, Reindeer can get this one. Yeah. Not too bad. I don't know about these two at the end, honestly. They gain quite a lot of offense level though from these. So perhaps it's a pretty good one. Like I said, I still cannot judge because I don't know how valuable the offense level will be in the MD2 Hard, because it's going to be quite hard to clash. So maybe you need to, otherwise you can't clash, or maybe you just need to pop egos consistently. Yeah, I don't know. We need to wait for MD2 to come out, then I can actually judge these offense levels. Okay, so sinking summary. Basically you want this to get the damage boost. You want this to do a lot of SP damage, and then you want all of these to just get buffs and apply more sinking. Another thing to note is that you should also try and get this, the Lost Star, because if you have blunt moves, which the sinking gang does have, the Reindeer is mostly blunt and Sun Shower has like 2 blunt, I think. So they can get quite a bit of value from this SP damage to the target. So pretty damn good combo to try and get this extra bonus on the target when they are panicked or shaken or whatever the term is. Yeah, so really good overall, I think, for sinking. It's just that I've never tried because I think there's not enough characters to form a team around sinking. So I've never really like gone full into it. There's a lot of bleed characters, lots of nails characters also, so we can totally go for nail stuff, but for sinking I feel like we're lacking a bit. Gotta wait a little bit more. Burn, I also feel like we're lacking a little bit, but burn is also fun because you get to stack crazy amounts of burn. So let's start with the king of the burn ego gifts. I cannot remember your name. It's Glimpse of Flames, there we go. So it's a 2/5/3, so it is a 3 4-star again. At the start of the turn, enemies with 30 plus burn take fixed damage by burn times burn count. Oh my god, dude, it's burst burn. is Burst Burn. The thing that I wanted on New Ishmael was added as an ego gift, and now there's no IDs that have this. But at least I know that they know that Burst Burn can exist. So that means I can hope a little bit that one of the IDs in the future will do this, which is going to be very, very good. So to explain, for abnormalities, if the total sum of burn on every part is 60 or higher, then the burn inflicted part takes. So it's the exact same logic here, except for this one, they take the total burn and then the burn count average of all the burn inflicted parts. So it's a different calculation. But basically what this is that you take the burn and then you take the burn count, and you know how we were always stacking that burn and burn count and it just like took forever for something to die? Well, now this ego gift here enables the target to take the damage by this amount, as long as they have 30 plus burn. So that is quite a lot of damage. Imagine 30 times 9, for example. Whew! Disgusting. So Glimpse of Flames, very, very, very good ego gift. It practically fixes the problem that I've been saying about burn this whole time. That burn just takes too damn long to actually use all its stats. So this speeds it up by popping it every time. So it's super, super good. Yeah, super, super good. If you're going for burn, you see this, you must buy it. Sell everything or whatever to get this. Hoard all your money. Make sure you always have 253 in your hand. Look for this. Hunt for this. It's so good. Alright, anyway, next one is the Circle. Circle, where are you? Charred Disk. When an enemy, for abnormalities, the targeted part, with burn is defeated. So if you break the part, you also transfer the burn. Half of the burn is inflicted on the enemy with the least burn at the start of the next turn, rounded up. And at the start of the turn, enemies with burn have their offense level reduced by 4 for the turn. So offense level, once again, I can't judge, but the fact that there's a second effect here as well makes it quite good. It makes it so that when you kill someone, you transfer the burn to another enemy. So it makes it so that, oh, I stacked so much burn, but the enemies will die anyway. It becomes less of a problem because when they die, their burn is transferred. So this is very good. Makes it so that you don't feel bad when you kill someone because you're like, ah shit, why we kill that guy? He had like 90 burn on him. But don't worry, because now you kill the guy, the burn transfers to someone else, that guy will die. Yep, so quite good. Quite good. Next one I think is Fiery Down, right? Fiery Down. Where are you, Fiery Down? Okay, Fiery Down. After dealing damage to enemies using a burn effect skill, focus on this one because we don't care about the last too much. Inflict 3 burn on targets. If target had 20 plus burn at the start of the turn, double their burn. Oh my goodness, double their burn. Remember this one that doubles the bleed? Well, this one's the doubling version on the burn. So if you want to hit your burn stacks peak as fast as you can, this one is the one. And these two are kind of interchangeable. One is great for mobbing, one is great for stacking on targets, so it's just great. Both of them are great. Going for burn strat, just take these two. Just take. Don't even like compare between the two. Just buy both. If you can't buy both, then suck it, man. Alright, next one is Ashes to Ashes and Dust to Dust. They're perfectly named, so I'll just go in any order. So look at the order. Ashes to Ashes is this, then Dust to Dust is that. Quite cool. Alright, Dust to Dust. At the start of battle, inflict 2 burn and plus 2 burn count on all enemies, and for Abnos it will be 1 part. When activating Sloth Absolute Rest, inflict plus 2 burn and plus 2 burn count on all enemies, and for Abnos it's still 1 part. So this basically is, at the start of the battle, you inflict 2 burn and plus 2 burn count on all enemies. So following that, wait, no, this is the after. We gotta look for Dust. We gotta look for Ashes to Ashes, yeah. Ashes to Ashes. Where is Ashes to Ashes? Ashes to Ashes, where are you? Ah, there you are. At start of combat phase, if all enemies have burn, inflict 2 burn on all enemies. So remember this, right? At the start of combat phase, if all enemies have burn, inflict 2 burn. Then we go to this. At the start of the battle, inflict 2 burn and 2 burn count. It's just synergy, man. P-Moon added it again with their references. So these two go together. One applies the burn, the other does even more burn if there is already burn. So yeah, they just go together. Very cool. But I would say it's not terrible either because of this part. Sloth Absolute Resonance, right? is good when you run the Liu Gang, because the Liu Gang actually has quite a lot of sloth moves. So with all that sloth moves, you'll be easily activating the sloth part of Ashes to Ashes and Dust to Dust. So honestly, these two are really, really good egos. Except maybe the Ashes to Ashes. Ashes to Ashes is just alright. Huh, wait, no, it's at the start of combat phase. Never mind, it's pretty okay. It's pretty okay. At the start of combat phase, it's a pretty good activator. So you will get quite a bit of burn stacking from it. So pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Alright, then about the other two. There are no bad egos, by the way, in the burn. Because all of them, right, they just help to stack the burn. The main ones that you need are all on the left. The rest of these, right, are just good because they help you to stack burn. Yeah, so I like the balancing here in that all of them are just things you take if you're going for burn. So let's do a Helterfly's Dream. After inflicting burn via skill effects to already burn targets, you randomly inflict burn to all enemies. And if you activate Wrath, which is also very easy with Liu section, randomly inflict total of 5 to all. God damn, dude. So good. It's so good. It's just because this, right, triggers on every move you do. As long as your move does burn. So if you're running the Liu team, right, this triggers a lot. And this spreads a lot. So you get a lot of burn spreading over here. Very, very good. I will say I think it's not that great if it comes to Abnos. Yeah. But for mobbing it's very good. Yeah. For Abnos it's not that great. And then the last ego gift to talk about is the Circuit Overload. So Circuit Overload is... where are you? Here. Pinpoint Logic Circuit. When dealing damage using Envy or Burn effect skill. So ignore the Envy part, because Liu section probably just focuses on this part. Inflict additional burn by half the skill's total coins. So when you do damage, you apply burn. As simple as that. Don't think about anything else. So this is just straight up good. So among all of the burn ego gifts, there's none that I find that I don't want to take. If I'm going for burn, right, I take them all because they're all just helping the strat of getting to this. So the king here is definitely this over here, Glimpse of Flame. If you can get Glimpse of Flame, you pretty much have won the run. As long as you can pick up just like maybe like 3 of the rest of them, then you're pretty much good to go. The game is won. Yeah, you're now going to stack a crap ton of burn, and then you're going to Glimpse of Flame, and then you see boom, he explodes. Burst burn. That's exactly what I wanted from an ID, but it became an ego gift, so I'll just have to live my dreams through MD2. I wish this was an ID or ego. Please just give me the activator somewhere. Give me like a detonator character, then just blow up the burn. I don't care. Okay, anyway, let's talk about the rest of these. I think we can actually speedrun through this part, because honestly this part, right, they all pretty much do the same thing. They do damage. So I'm gonna talk really short about them. So Eclipse of Scarlet Moth. When you deal damage with a skill for the first time, deal half its damage as fixed damage to a random enemy. If it was lost, deal said damage to 2 random enemies instead. Boom, do more damage. But do you know what you can do also? You can do an ego. When you do an ego, right, because it's a skill, it also counts as a skill, you do half its damage. So boom, there you go. Bunga bunga damage. Next one. Today's expression. After defeating an enemy by using sloth or blunt damage, you increase your blunt damage. If you're running a blunt team or a sloth team, for example Liu section or Claire, you just go unga bunga. It's over. Next one. Blood, Sweat and Tears. If you are just playing the game regularly and you're getting staggered, I mean you are staggering the enemy, this just does 10% more damage. If it's Sloth, you get 20%. So Sloth here is great for the Liu gang, very good. And then this 10% is just extra damage, helps you to speedrun, helps you to kill things as long as you stagger them. So great for every team comp, just take. Next. The coat. So Grey Coat. When using multi-target skill, increase damage by 20%. If you deal damage with multi-target or gloom, you heal by 20%. So you can ignore this part at the end. You just look at this, and then you think to yourself, I'm just gonna Ebony Stem, and then I win the game. That's essentially it. Ebony Stem, Sun Shower, Representation Emitter, do whatever shit you want. if you run Yi Sang and you have a passive active, you have a Spice Bush Yi Sang. Yeah, you have his passive active. You have this Grey Coat. You have Rusty Commemorative Coin, and now your ego triggers twice as long as you don't kill on the first one. Holy shit, man, it's over. You won. You just activate the ego once and you clear everything. So strong. Next one, Carmilla. Carmilla is as simple as let me find it first. Carmilla. Non-Abnos take fixed damage equal to 20% max HP. So reducing enemy HP by 20% means they're closer to stagger, means you can Unga Bunga them faster, means you win the game. Easy. Next one is the Horn. The Horn is only good for Amnos. It gives you 2 damage up to all allies. So it is good because you get this damage up and then you just burst the Amno and then you win the game. So it's just free damage. Like I said, if you have damage here or just help to get us to stagger faster, you are probably up here somewhere. Yep. So very simple look here. This one just gives damage up. Done. Next one, Homeward. Oops. Homeward is when entering a combat encounter, all participating allies heal 12% of their max HP. So this one, right, is it's fine. There's like better healing items, but at the same time, if you just take Homeward, right, and you just do the whole dungeon, you pretty much will just maintain pretty much 75% or higher HP. There's really no problem here for Homeward. And then over here is Medic Kit. So for Medic Kit, right, Medic Kit suffers the same problem as Homeward in that it triggers like only once but keeps your units above 50% HP, so it's fine. I could be argued to throw Medic Kit way lower. Actually, I probably will. It's not that great. There are a lot better healing items, yeah. Okay, so now we go on to the speedrun gifts. So I'm going to speedrun my way through this one. So Phlebotomy. Phlebotomy is extremely consistent. Deal damage is using skills. You heal 7.5% once per character per turn. If the skills affinity is ref, you heal more. So it's a super consistent way to make sure your HP is above 50%. Super consistent. In fact, you heal a crap ton of HP. If you consider that every turn you are hitting someone, you're just healing this amount every turn. Crazy. Next one, Lithograph. Whenever enemy staggered, you heal HP. If the ally has gotten, you heal 10% more. Sorry, you heal just 10%. Yeah. So this one, consistent as shit. You will stagger people. You 100% will just stagger people. So you just keep healing and healing and healing and you just live. So these two are like these two are the best healing items in the game. Super, super good. You take one and you're pretty much never going to die the whole run. Next, we have the Sun Shower. When activating Sloth Absolute Res or use a skill that attacks multiple targets, all allies gain +2 skill power. Super easy trigger condition because this one. You don't even need this part here. You just use an AoE Ego, any of them. All allies gain +2 skill power is a pretty good reward for just using one Ego. Boom, that's extra damage. You're good to go. Yep, great. Rusty Commemorative Coin. So yeah, do I need to explain this one? Basically, if you don't kill someone with the skill / ego, you use it one more time. And if you defeat an enemy by using a sloth or single coin skill, you gain skill power next turn. Like, I don't need to explain this, right? It's just, oh, if I use my Spice Bush, it doesn't kill, it uses it again, it kills. Oh, hey look, I get more power next turn. Boom. It's Phantom Pain. Phantom Pain is very simple. It adds +15% damage to single target. I don't even look at this part, I just look at this part. Single target means that every skill that hits one target will do extra 15% damage. So simple, I just take this every time I see it. Next one, the Skulls. Skulls is great because Skulls give 2 Pierce power up for 2 turns. If you're running the Piercing team, take this every time, for sure. Because 2 Pierce power up for 2 turns is a lot of damage increase. All you need to do is kill someone. So for mobbing purposes, this is extremely good to help you speed up the run. Next one is the Sheep. Sheep has the exact same thing, but it's for slash. So for slash teams, you take this. You can ignore this part because you only care about this part here. This part is nice though, because if you can somehow get this res, you can get the extra damage. It's not too hard because there's rip space and there is quick suppression. So you just need one more NV skill. Alright, next one. We got this guy. I explained already. Extra damage. This one is Special Contract. Special Contract is really, really good. Special Contract, where are you? There you are. Enemy staggered by taking damage also receive fixed damage by 33% of their max HP. And I inflicted with Fragile next turn. Yeah, it's Fragile and it also does HP damage to them. So yeah, simple, right? It just does more damage. Yep, simple. Okay, all 4 of these here just give cost. This reduces the cost of buying things. This is currently not very good in MD2 normal, but MD2 hard, this will definitely skyrocket in value because you will want to buy your 3 team. If you get this right, you can easily go for your max 3 star team. Then we got the milestone, we got the hammer, and we got the urn. I don't think I need to explain this. All of them give cost, and if you are going to try and save up money to buy a lot of things, get them. Like, I would prioritize these guys for sure. Try and get them as early as possible, because if you get them early, you can get a lot more value out of them. If you get them late, they're garbage. So cost is all about getting early, but not getting late. Yeah, that's it for cost. I don't need to explain anything else. Basically, if you see one of them early, you try and pick it up so that you can get the maximum value. If you get it maybe around number 3 or number 4, right, you maybe don't want to get it anymore because there's not much point in hoarding that much gold at that point. Yeah, but it's up to your decision. Honestly, I would probably get it only if it's from floor 1 to 3, then I would consider getting it. After that, I won't get it anymore. Ego resource generation. So some can argue like some of these are better than others. I would say that only these 2 here are clearly better than the rest in my opinion, because these 2 just give so much resource. So let me talk about the shard here. 126. It's only cost 126 by the way. At the start of the turn, gain 1 ego resource of a random affinity for each non-gluttony ego skill used last turn. Each. And if it was gluttony, just gain 3 instead. It's for each skill, you know, it's each skill. It's insane. This should not be this cheap. Basically, for every move you get 1 ego resource. Additional +1. It's not okay. It's definitely not okay. Then we also got the chair. Chair is you gain +5 pride at the start, but whenever an enemy dies, you gain this resource and then this resource. So it's quite a lot of resource for enemies that die. It's a bit better than this one. I think Prejudice does somewhat similar to this. But yeah, with this you can pretty much just spam any pride egos for sure. Super easy. Yeah, and then the rest I don't really need to explain. They all have specific conditions to activate their ego resources. Essentially, if you get these early, right, you can start stacking your ego resources like crazy, and then at the end you just activate 50 egos in 5 turns or some shit like that. I don't know. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, if you just get like maybe 2-3 of these, you're set for the entire dungeon. And then over here is the god, the ruler of all other ego gifts, which is why they buffed it. Sorry, they nerfed it to rarity 5 so that you would get very few chances to see this ego gift again. Lunar Memory. All type and affinity resistances, and for Abnos is all parts, change to fatal. Such a simple sentence, but it's so busted. Because now, it doesn't matter what your team is in terms of typing, they will do full damage to anything they hit. It's it's insane. I have not gotten one yet. I've been trying so hard to collect this for the Ego Compendium, but basically if you ever see Lunar Memory, buy it. Just get it. Because in all strats, this here is the ruler of all strats. Yep. And that is it for the tier list. Oh my god, so much to talk about. So the most complicated parts, as you can tell, are all of these specific types, the archetypes, the strats, because they all have a specific way they want to play, and they all have specific egos that support their archetype. So it was very hard for me to rate them, which is why I split them up into their own types. Some of them are better within the own archetype, of course, so you can choose to dump them from your strat. For example, if you don't want the Melty Eyeball, feel free to dump it. If you don't need like all of these, you only need like maybe the Downpour and this, for example, then you can dump the rest also. Then you just fill up the rest with A, S's or whatever stuff you want here. But essentially, everything else besides the archetypes was pretty simple to place, I would say. Basically, anything that help you speed run the dungeon or give you insane amounts of value is definitely up here. Either the activation condition is super easy, or just helps you do more damage, or helps you to maintain your health, then you go up here. And then anything that's inconsistent or doesn't provide enough value, then you just throw it down here. And then all of these three here are just game changers. They're the meta for sure. Like anytime you see one of these, you just try and get it. I think I'll just add this. Pause first floor to third floor only. Yeah. And then if they are not, if it's fourth floor and fifth floor, then you drop them all the way down here to poopy, because you're not going to get much value out of it. Yep, so that is it for my tier list for this. Feel free to let me know what you think about all of this. I honestly think I'm pretty comfortable with this tier list after lots of consideration. If you all have your own opinions, please let me know. And remember that MD2 is ultimately a damn single player game. If you want to rate something higher, feel free to. Because you probably have your own way of playing, and I have my own way of playing. I value damage, I value consistency, I value egos a lot. I mean, actually no. If any of you puts this any lower, you're trolling. Okay, I just want to say that. This is the only one that I will not budge on. But everything else you want to argue, sure, I will argue with you. But this one, no way, man. No way. Yep. So besides that, that is it, I think. Poise will remain here because I think we are... Poise just needs this. We need an ID or ego that gives me this effect, and then we are pretty much good to go. Then Poise can join the rest up here. But otherwise, even when I went my full Poise, right, we still weren't doing damage. So yeah, I still have no hopes for Poise for MD2 Hard. I do love playing Burn, I do love playing Bleed, I do love playing Charge, and dipping into Tremor a little bit. Sinking, I never really tried too much. Rupture, I never really tried too much. So if you all have tried this, feel free to leave a comment as well and let me know how it went. I also remember some people saying they're like doing solo runs with a kick of Honglu. I'm not sure which of these ego gifts would super benefit your strat either. I would say maybe just the healing stuff and maybe the coin and all these other damage items maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure about Honglu. Honglu is something, alright. That guy has such insane tankiness. Yeah. Alright, that is it for my tier list. Yeah, nothing else. I'm basically just trying to fill time until the 13th because I really want to play MD2 Hard right now. Oh, I can't wait. Okay, I'm done with this video. This probably take way too long. So thank you all for watching, and see you guys on the 13th. Bye bye.